It's not the falling down that makes you weak. It's not getting back up. My son is learning to skateboard at the moment, and he keeps falls down a lot. And one day we were talking, and I said, mate, how are you finding this skateboarding thing? He goes, oh, I love it, but I'm so sick of falling down. And I said, well, that's how you get good. And to his credit, he just looked at me and goes, I know. I'm going to keep going. See, what he's done is he's doing something dangerous. He's doing something that's out of his comfort zone. Why would you get on a small board with tiny, tiny wheels and throw yourself around on it? Because it's fun, because it's something he wants to do, because he wants to achieve a goal, wants to do something. Now, if he had have come into me the first time he hurt himself and said, oh, Dad, I've hurt myself. I've fallen off the skateboard. I'm not going to do it anymore. That's when I would be concerned. Why would you give up after one tiny fall? Everybody falls down. It's the not getting back up that makes you weak. Now, this is a message that I want to share with people that obviously skateboarding is a metaphor, but I want to share it with people that feel like they're constantly in this thing where they keep falling down. And for the people that are caring for people that feel like they're with somebody that keeps falling down, and for that carer that feels like every time the person that they're caring for fails, it's a failure for them. This is a message for you today. Let's dive right in and we'll see what happens. Welcome to Mark My Words. Mark My Words is the story of my journey from a place where I was shattered to where I could live again. So, falling down, it's a fact of life. We all fail. Even when we were little, we were failed. I know that we try and build cocoons around our kids now. And any kind of parenting that is seen as, not extravagantly kind is seen as something that is terrible and is rough. So when my son came to me and he said, I want to learn to skateboard, I didn't say it. I probably should have. But the thing is, you want to learn to skateboard, you're going to do something dangerous. You're going to fall down, and you're going to fall down a lot. And even the guys that are super good at it fall down, because sometimes there is a tiny pebble that knocks them over. Now, I don't know if you know anything about skateboarding, but a pebble is a skateboarder's worst enemy. You give me the best Tony Hawkist skateboarder in the world skating down the street, hits a pebble, he's fallen down. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how good he is, he's fallen down. But as with the great skaters, it's the ones that keep going that become great. Now, what has this got to do with mental illness? My subtle analogy here. When you have a mental illness, when you're looking after somebody that has a mental illness, you feel like you're in this constant state of falling down. You're never stable. You're never upright. You're never continuous in your journey. And it feels like you fall down. It feels like when you lose your temper, you've lost everything. It feels like when you get overwhelmed, you've fallen down. You've lost everything. Have another panic attack and you haven't had one for ages. Oh, I've gone back. I'm completely broken again. Well, my message for you today is this. It is not the falling down that makes you weak. Everyone falls down. Falling down is a fact of life. Watch a newborn try and walk. As in my daughter at 9 months. They're going to fall down, and they're going to fall down a lot. And if we didn't allow them to fall down, they would never learn to run, to skip, to jump. There is a beautiful video that I have of my youngest daughter, and she's at this athletics carnival for like kindergarten. And there's these two sticks, and they're literally maybe 20, not even that high, maybe 15 centimeters off the ground. And she jumps over the first one, she jumps over the second one, and she's just beaming. She's done this thing. She's achieved it. And the beautiful thing about it is she runs to me. I'm holding the phone and she wraps her legs around her arms around my legs. And she's just so excited that she's done this thing. Now, she'd done it before and she'd fallen down. And, if we ever just said to her in kindergarten, oh, no, you can just stop, then she never would have achieved that. And knowing that the achievement came from heartache and pain. Now, let's translate that to the journey of the person living with mental illness. We so often are so fixated on our failures, on our falling down, that we forget that the fact that we got back up is a victory. It means something. It means that you have purpose. It means that you aren't willing to live broken. Now, I did this a lot when I was first hurt. I can't even begin to tell you how hard it was to watch the pain in my wife's eyes. And I don't know if she knew that I saw it. I don't know if she realized that I had a massive understanding of how much she was being hurt by my brokenness, by my injury. My beautiful wife that I just made her smile every day of our marriage. All of a sudden, I wasn't able to make her smile. And she looked sad. She looked tired. She looked concerned. And every time something went wrong, I would get worse. Every time I failed at something, I tried something, it didn't work, I would feel worse. And that would drive me further into my mental illness symptoms, and that would make her feel worse. My wife was with me every step of the way, and I am so grateful that she was, because I look at other people and I don't know how they do this mental health journey alone. I don't know how they do it. I'm in awe of their courage, their fortitude. And sure, you might make the argument that nobody's ever done it completely by themselves, and that might be true. I think it's true, but I don't have the statistics, so I'm not going to say that it is or isn't. But in all those journeys, in all that struggle that my wife and I had, failure, falling down, just made me feel worse, even if I got back up. So let me give you an example. I was going to the psychologist one day and I pulled up out the front and I just lost it. I could not do it. I had a full on like panic, just losing it. And my wife kind of watching me. She doesn't know what's going on. And for about 10 minutes, I just sat there and couldn't do anything. Just complete internal meltdown. Now, we didn't get back in the car and we didn't drive home. I stood up, I brushed myself off as best I could, and I walked into the psychologist's office because I knew that I needed it. I didn't want it. I didn't look forward to it, but I did it. Now, it took me years to realize how much of an achievement that actually was, because I never enjoyed going to the psychologist or the doctor or the psychiatrist or the counselor or the therapist, because I had to dredge up all this horrible stuff. And I didn't want to. Never once did I want to. But I never saw the victory in what I was doing. I never saw the victory in the fact that, hey, you went. You went to the psychologist, even though every fiber of your being was saying that you don't want to. There's a famous story, and I'm going to retell it my own way. I wish I could credit somebody with it. I don't know where I've heard it before, but in World War One, there was the famous Battle of the Somme, the bloodiest day in British history, British military history. 20,000 guys gone in less than like a couple of hours. Ridiculous amount of murder and mayhem on the Western Front. And there's a story of an Irish battalion that the men were ordered to jump out of their trench, stand side by side, and then walk towards the enemy. Courage. Physical courage on a level that I cannot comprehend. But the story goes like this. The Irish battalion standing on the trench, that were moving out, and some of them pulled up their cuffs of their big, huge, jackets that they were wearing, and they pulled them up, turned over their things. Sorry if you're listening on audio, I'm trying to explain this as best I can. So they lift up their cuffs, they tuck their heads down, and they walk as if they're walking into a rainstorm, as if all the bullets that are flying at them are just raindrops. And that was the way they did it, with a grim determination to keep moving. Sometimes the mental health journey is like that. You know that you are jumping out of a place of relative safety and you're going to march into a hailstorm of potential hurt, pain, whatever you want to call it. Now, I think about those men, and I obviously I don't compare myself to a veteran. I can't. I don't have the right to do that. But just that mindset of I'm walking into a place where I will probably die, but I'm going to keep going. Now, of course, you're not going to walk into a psychologist's office and die, but you're going to dredge up your pain. You're going to have to talk about things that you've spent the last week trying to push out of your mind, trying not to think about, trying to distract yourself, trying to, focus on the positive. And then all of a sudden you're going to go back into this office and you're going to do this thing. You're going to dredge up all this pain. The thing about that is it's so hard to see that as a victory. It's so hard to see that the fact that you just showed up is a positive. The fact that you pushed through the pain, you pushed through the hurt, you pushed through the anguish, and you did it. Now, you might have walked out of the psychologist's office and fallen again, did something you shouldn't have done, took a drug that you shouldn't have, got drunk, did something, lost your temper, you failed. But you picked yourself up and you kept going. And that's what I want to encourage you to do, is to see those little falling downs for what they are. Think of the skateboarder. As good as they are, and we've discussed this, as good as they are, it's a tiny pebble that will bring down any skateboard rider. The wheel gets caught, they're going down. There's nothing they can do about it. It's the same with our mental health journey. Sometimes we just hit a pebble. We hit something hard. We hit an obstacle. We hit a failure and we fall down. Now, the fact of the matter is that there's going to be people out there going, Mark, I don't know how I can do this anymore. I don't know if I can do this anymore. And I want to tell you that you can, because you're listening to this right now. If you'd given up, you wouldn't be listening to this. And you might say, Mark, I missed a doctor's appointment. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. No, maybe you didn't. But you know what you did do? You turned on some random podcast about guy talking about stuff that might have something to do with you, and you listened to it and you got to hear. See that as an achievement. You did something today. This was not a passive action. You don't accidentally sit and listen to a 15, 20-minute podcast by accident. You don't do that. You do that with intent and with purpose. And you've done that. Now, this might be a small victory. You might go, I'm just listening. It's not that hard. Yeah, it is. I know how hard it can be. I know how hard this journey is. I've been to the worst of it. There was a guy that I was speaking to a couple of weeks ago, and he said, mate, you cannot understand what I've been through. And I said, no, I probably can't exactly. And then I started to share some of my story, told him some of the things that I'd been through, some of the journey that I've had to make, some of the decisions I've had to make, some of the heartache I've had to make, some of the things that I've had to come to realize about myself, things that, demasculinize me because give you an example. I can't work a full-time job. I just cannot do it. I want to. I want to be an earner. I want to be the kind of dad that provides for his family. But as my wife said, she'd rather have me healthy than not have me being unhealthy, because unhealthiness leads to dark places for me. I'm talking to this guy about this stuff. And he turns to me and goes, I don't know how you've done it. I don't know. We all have journeys and stories. And as soon as we start comparing, as soon as we start saying your journey is better, it's more sexy, more interesting, more real than mine, then you're negating your own pain. I tried to tell this guy, tried to tell him that I understood. Not exactly what his situation was, but I understand the pain. I understand where he's at. I need you to know that today, that there is somebody out there that might not understand exactly your situation, might not have been through your specific circumstances, but they know your pain. They know how hard it's been for you, and they're rooting for you. In Australia, we say we're barracking for you. Yeah, I like that better. We're on your side. We want you to do well. We want you to appreciate the small victories. Now, skateboarding might seem like a really weird metaphor to use. Skateboarding is such a flippant activity on the outside. But it's one that we can all understand, and it's one that I've used to try and just shine a bit of a light on the fact that we're all on some sort of journey. And sometimes getting out of bed in the morning, putting new clothes on, is like jumping on a skateboard. I don't know if you've ever tried to ride a skateboard. I have. I'm not good at it. I'm nervous every time I'm on one. I never had the patience to turn it into a realistic hobby. But you need to understand that it's not easy. It's hard. You're out of your comfort zone. And sometimes that's what going to the psychologist is like. It's hard. It's difficult. You don't want to. There's easier ways to get through this, you think. Easier just to ignore your pain. Yeah, easier, but you're never going to get anywhere. You're going to be stuck in that pain forever. It's not the falling down that makes you weak. It's the not getting back up. That is the weakness. I want to thank you for checking out Mark My Words today. Go to markmyshirts.com. You can buy a shirt. You can support us on Patreon if you want to. But you can just like, share, and subscribe. I've been loving the comments I've been getting. I've been trying to get to all of them. A little bit overwhelmed, but so appreciative, so thankful that people are joining the discussion. Hey, like, share, subscribe. Have a great week. I will talk to you again soon. Bye for now. Thank you for listening to Mark My Words. I'd like to thank my producer, Meredith Brosnan, and also Torian, Kevin, and Lorraine. And I can't forget the band Adelaide, who allows us to use their song as our theme.